Hey, ladies and gentlemen. So we are working on the Argentina Agricultural and Rural Land Use Fact Sheet. It's our second assignment in the Argentina unit. Um, so this one's not too bad. It is about 6 questions long, so it's not super long. And a lot of the information is similar to some of the information we got from the first activity. So you should already have a pretty good idea where it is. So the first question is, what religions are found in Argentina? Which one is the most practiced? All right, so this is a little different from what we had before. Before, I just asked you to tell me about religions. But what was happening was I was getting a lot of people just giving me a religion. If the main religion in the country was Christianity, that's what I got. Or if it was Islam, they put Islam. But that's not what you're supposed to be doing with this question. So I want to know what religions, meaning multiple, like all the religions that are found in Argentina that are mentioned in the READ document, and then tell me which one is the most practiced. So there should be two parts to this. The first one should just list all the religions. That is easy enough if you just come down to the religions section right here. All right, so they have the religions usually in a chart of some sort. It might be a pie chart or something, but there's usually a chart. And so that is really simple. You can just pull them straight from there. But they're also found in this little section here usually. And then the chart is, generally speaking, going to give you a percentage of how many people follow that religion. So finding out the most practiced one is just finding the one with the largest number. For example, in this one, number one here, 92% is Roman Catholic. So the vast majority of people in Argentina are Roman Catholic. I mean, 92% is a huge, huge percentage. So that is going to be the second part. But if you just tell me Roman Catholic, I'm only going to give you partial credit. So you need to put down these other religions that they have here as well, including the word other, because that's just going to cover, some religions where there's a very few number of people, but there might be a bunch of different religions that fall under that category. All right, so what makes Argentinian culture unique compared to the rest of the world? Okay, so I'm getting a lot of answers where they're like, oh, they have unique food or unique dance or unique. You need to be specific. Like every country has unique something. And if you just tell me, well, they have unique dance, well, what is the dance that's unique? Right? If they have unique food, well, what is the food that is unique? Like, I'm okay with you giving me those things. I'm okay with you saying, well, they have, let's see, what is the dance here? Let's go to culture. All right, this is the climate way to go down. So if we go down to culture, like one section here, they talk about the tango, right? So they're famously known for the tango, so you could talk about that. You could also talk about the gaucho, like that is unique, fairly unique anyway. The gaucho are pretty much cowboys, but they're cowboys in Argentina. But this section here, I mean, you need to read it. And then you take the stuff that you haven't heard before, stuff that seems like it's unique to this culture, and put it in here. Just don't give me generic things like they have unique, customs, or they have unique food, or they have unique dances. I have gotten answers like that, and I just mark them wrong because it doesn't actually tell me anything. I could put that down without actually even ever going to the read, and technically it would be correct. So I need more specific answers here. And I may change the question later to be specific, just so that people understand what it is that they're supposed to be doing. What does the population pyramid tell us? All right, so this one is one that people also mess up around a lot, just because they don't come here and they don't look at the population pyramid. So like if you look at this population pyramid, this is a fairly good pyramid, like as far as the shape. You have a very wide base that comes to a point at the top, right? Your younger group here is actually pretty large. And then it starts to narrow down as it goes through. So like that is what I'm looking for here is, it has a very good, like what does it tell you? It has very good pyramid shape. You have a larger, younger group than your older group, and they, get smaller and smaller as you make your way up. Like, that's all I'm looking for, is a description of what this pyramid tells you about the people. If you have like a specific age group that is bigger than the others, stands out, then tell me about that. If you have it, where it's more narrow at the bottom and then it goes back out and then it comes back in, well, then what does that mean? Tell me about that. So that is what you're doing here. What types of resources are found in Argentina and how are they used? So this is going to be found up in the resource section. There's literally a section called resources, right here. So you just read this and answer the question. What resources are found. Usually there's a picture or maybe a map that'll also tell you what resources are there. But don't just give me the resources. Don't just say iron, wheat, cattle, and chickens, and then that's it, because you're only going to get half credit, right? Because you are asked to tell me how they are used. And generally speaking, it's going to tell you, what they're used for. They're either sold or they're used to feed people or what have you. So also the agriculture section might have some information about the resources and how they're used. So if you cannot find something here, you can come down here. But between these two sections, they should give you the information you need to answer question number 4. All right, now for the one that is kind of the new question here. This is the one that is different, that we haven't run into before, that deals, we ran into it with India, but it's new for this unit. So what are the pros of agricultural land use and what are the cons of agricultural land use? So when we talk about pros and cons of agricultural land use, we are looking at like a generic sense, like not an individual. So I had like some people tell me, you'll be able to feed your family, you'll be able to own land, yada, yada, yada. I mean, like that might be a pro of an individual using land for agriculture, but we're not looking for individuals. We're looking for overarching what is good about agricultural land use in general. So for that, you're going to want to look at agriculture. This section is going to tell you kind of, like right here, it's one of the world's largest major exporters of soybean, wheat, and meat. Wheat is Argentina's largest crop in the harvested land area and is the main crop in the cattle-raising southern pampas of Buenos Aires and La Pampa provinces. Wheat and corn dominate in the north and are planted simultaneously, while the pampas are the traditional source of beef cattle, the country's most valuable export commodity. Although agriculture is an important source of earnings, it now accounts for a small percentage of the overall GDP and employs only a tiny portion of the nation's workforce. All right, so like it doesn't give you answers directly. So it's not going to say this is a good thing, this is a good thing, this is a bad thing. You have to kind of think about these yourself. All right. So if it's exporting, right, if they're exporting soybeans, wheat, and meat, export means that they're sending it to other countries. They're selling it for money, right? So one of your pros here should be it gives you the ability to sell your excess for money, right? That's a pro. Like getting money is good, right? And then you can talk about, it says that it only employs a tiny portion of the nation's workforce, but it does employ people for work. So that's another pro, right? And then some of the stuff is common sense. If you grow food, you should have access to food, right? So that would be another pro, is that, by using the land for agriculture, you'll be able to feed your own population, right? And so right there, 3 pros, bam, 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 super easy. Now, the cons probably might be in here. There might be some cons in here, but this one doesn't really look like it has much in the way of cons. So you would need to come up to environmental issues and read that section. All right. So we know from the past by reading, about the environmental issues that different countries have dealt with, that if you're going to grow crops, you have to have land to grow the crops. So that means you have to clear the land, right? Because you don't just, walk into an area and it's like, oh, look, there's a farm. No, like the farm has to be made. So you have to cut down trees, right? You have to get rid of that wood. You probably have to burn some of the land to get rid of the other vegetation, right? So one of the cons here could be that you are clearing trees. And then there's other stuff in here that they talk about as well. I'm not going to give you all the answers for 5 and 6, so you're going to need to find some of them yourself. But those are just examples, right? Like some of the stuff is common sense stuff, but you also need to use the read doc, because if you're just giving me generic information, it's not going to be enough to answer these questions. Okay. So that is it for our fact sheet. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email me or drop by for the Google Meets.